I don't know what's going on here. Should we? Yeah, that I was looking at my notes and I was like,
did somebody swat you?
Yep, somebody swatted us.
Did they really?
Swatted us?
Yep, somebody swatted us. So that's
How do you know?
what that
How do you
was.
know?
I have somebody texting me.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so Tim's gonna go
wow.
take care of
So,
business.
yeah, just a police officer
stroll
entered
it in.
here, looked around because it looks like someone swatted this live broadcast here.
Glad they didn't come in here bussing, man.
Yeah.
This wasn't the only time Tim Pool has been swatted. It was probably one of the most memorable, though, as it happened live on air. Less than a year later, Michael Knowles asked Tim Pool how many times he had been swatted, and the answer will shock you.
How many times have you been swatted? How many times have
15.
people actually... Yeah, I mean, is it really that high?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
This was 2 years ago, and I'm sure the number has increased substantially. Of course, Tim isn't the only YouTuber to get swatted like this. The quartering also has been swatted too.
Then somebody called my wife at 11:30 at night, or 11 or 11:30 at night. And she told me someone's calling her. So I said, well, you better answer it. And it was dispatch asking if she was alive and still okay. I switched to my security cam outside, and there was about 20 armed to the teeth officers on my property, surrounding my house.
Some people talk about swatting like it's a prank call, but it's far more serious than calling your neighbor and asking if their refrigerator is running. In my opinion, swatting is attempted murder because it has led to the deaths of many civilians, and it could lead to the death of some officers too. Maybe it has already. I'm not, sure if that's happened. Not to mention, too, that people have lost their pets over this. It will result in property damage. Not only is it a huge waste of public resources, but it also creates animosity between law enforcement and the community. Now, it's okay if you don't like a YouTuber. I would be a liar if I told you I liked the quartering. I think that his memes can be funny at times, but I think that he's pretty disingenuous. He's a drama queen, that he makes bottom-of-the-barrel clickbait. But being a fat loser on the internet isn't grounds to try and off someone. By all means, feel free to mock him, expose him, or just ignore him, but swatting is way too far. Now, the motivations behind these swattings aren't publicly known yet, and as you'll see later in this video, it gets a little more complex. Interestingly, the quartering believes that his swatting was actually linked to Tim Pool's.
I know that it's the same person that's doing this to Tim because they are doing it in the exact same way. Essentially, here's what happened. They sent an anonymous text message from some, website or something and said that I had dispatched my wife with a high-powered pew-pew, and then I was going to do it myself too. So a random anonymous text is good enough to deploy, I'm going to guess, 15 to 20 officers to your house.
Is that really the case? It's hard to say. As far as I've seen, Tim hasn't commented on this yet. And I don't think he will, because he's actually been trying to give the swatter less attention, because he kind of feels that the more he talks about it, the more it attracts, people doing something similar. He's probably right about that. One thing that I do think is really interesting, and this is especially interesting, if this is the same swatter, is if we take a look at what Brandon Tatum said shortly after, the police came in and they were storming Tim's compound.
Yeah, those things, and it's a healthy penalty if you get caught swatting. That's a felony crime, and you can spend years in jail over it because the inherent risk.
It seems to me, at least, that Officer Tatum's words are prophetic. Let's just take a look at an update the quartering gave us on the swatting case.
Well, I just got off the phone with the FBI and the Department of Justice, and that was an interesting conversation. But I have some excellent news to share with all of you. So this person had made more than 375 swats and threat calls, including calls that he claimed to have planted, things that go boom and things like that. Very, very interesting. Now, he's 18, then 17 at the time, was arrested from charges coming out of Florida. But I am happy to report to you today that the individual who has done that has been caught by the FBI and is now facing a minimum of 20 years in federal pound-me-in-the-rear-end prison.
So the quartering says that the feds have caught the person swatting him, and he's getting way more than just a slap on the wrist. Just like Officer Tatum explained, the punishment for swatting is severe, and it looks like the perpetrator is going to be tried as an adult. He could be getting up to 20 years in federal prison. He's 18 now, but he was a minor when he allegedly started doing this. And if the punishment does end up playing out to be 20 years behind bars, that means he will have spent more than half of his life behind the clink at the end of his sentencing. The court ring, though, doesn't seem to think that that would be enough of a punishment, and he's fantasized about some extra legal things happening to him. So he wants the alleged perpetrator to be sodomized repeatedly over the next 2 decades.
1 like for each drop of the soap. Leave a like on this video, hoping he drops the soap.
It's unclear whether or not the court ring's homoerotic fantasies will play out. Hopefully he's not going to go vigilante on us, He's definitely the hero we don't need, and we certainly don't deserve him either. I hope we don't deserve him, at least. Maybe America has fallen quite so, and this is the punishment we'll be getting now. Now, regardless, let's assume that this guy ends up being found guilty, and, he is, in fact, the person who is doing it. Of course, we have to assume his innocence, before this is brought to court. Though it seems to me that the punishment to the guy making the calls actually won't satisfy Lady Justice. The court ring further elaborates on some layers of complexity in this case. It seems that the swatter wasn't a lone agent and that he was actually collecting payments for his actions.
He not only intended to cause harm as possible, but attempted to profit from these criminal activities, offering a fee to do it, said the FBI director. So right now, what I'm guessing is they're now investigating who paid for it, and extend charges to them, I hope. This individual was responsible for, I'm assuming this is the same person. I'm making an assumption. That's why I'm not naming them, but my letter says where the case is taking place, and it seems like it's the same place.
And now this does make a little more sense because he made about 375 calls in just 2 years. So when you think about that, that's an average of a call every other day. So it really would make you wonder, is he being paid? Because that is very excessive for someone who just doesn't like somebody. I think that, it would have to be an external motivation as to why he would do that. And now I don't know who all those calls were to. Was it to other famous people? Or maybe was it to schools? It's really hard to say. And there has been, an uptick in swatting recently. It really makes me wonder, who is paying him. Was it maybe a foreign agent? Did the payer also send him after Tim Pool? Is the court ring suspicion about the 2 swattings being connected? Is that, in fact the case? But it seems to me the revelation about him receiving money to do the swatting adds a lot of nuance and questions. It's just a whole new bag of worms now. And there's a lot of things I want to find out, and hopefully we'll find out soon. But it seems like these types of cases usually take a while. So who knows? Of course, we have to let the trial play out. I'm not exactly sure, how long this investigation is going to take or what they'll even be able to prove or find. The truth of the matter is that when you make any type of communication online, you leave footprints. So if he was being paid with Bitcoin or even just with, bank transfers or Venmo or something, I'm pretty sure they'd be able to find the person who was paying him to do the swatting. Assume that was what happened. Again, we have to let the trial play out. We have to see if he really is guilty. It's innocent until being proven guilty. So I'm kind of curious to see what you think about this case. Are you glad that they found the alleged swatter? Do you think 20 years is enough for him, or is he going to need some homoerotic punishment? And do you hope that the court ring becomes some type of homoerotic punisher, a masked vigilante of the night who unleashes himself upon the evildoers of society? I think that actually might be enough to get people to stop committing criminal acts. I know if that was a threat to me, that would be something I would be afraid of. Who knows, though? Let me know what you think. I'm curious to see what you're going to say. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, I have more videos here too that I think you might enjoy. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.